And welcome back to another podcast with Mr. Hagan. And on this podcast, we're going to look at the determinants of supply of labor, the determinants of supply of labor. And that is to say, when I say determinants, that is to say these are the things that are going to shift the supply curve for labor. So remember, the supply curve for labor is going to be an upward sloping curve. So here we have the quantity of labor on the horizontal axis, price of labor on the vertical, and the supply curve for labor looks like this. That is to say, the higher the price or the wage, the higher the wage that is paid, the more people are going to be willing to go out and work and do a job. So the more people are going to enter the labor market. Okay, that's the supply curve for labor and moving along the supply curve. The question now is what causes the supply curve to shift? Well, there are three determinants that cause the supply curve to shift. The first one is a change in taste. Now, don't be confused with this. You might see this if you're familiar with the normal demand determinant, change in taste and preferences that shifts the demand curve. That's not that. Okay, this is a change in taste, meaning how much you like doing the job. What is the status of the job? What's the enjoyability of the job? So if you like the work more, maybe being a teacher becomes a more high status job, that's going to cause the supply curve to shift to the right. More people are going to want to go do it. If people like the work less, maybe if the work maybe it loses its status for some reason. If it loses its status for some reason, then that would cause the supply curve to shift into the left. Okay, so if people like the work more, that's going to shift the supply curve to the right. If they like it less, that's going to shift the supply curve to the left. All right, the second determinant on the supply side is the change in alternative opportunities. That is to say, could I be making more money doing something else? So right now, I'm an economics teacher, and the question would be, what if we got an increase in the wage of financial advisors? That would be an alternative job that I could do. And if you got a change in the wage of financial advisors, then maybe I would want to go be a financial advisor instead of being a teacher. And that would cause the supply of econ teachers to shift to the left. Okay? But if you got a decrease in the wages of alternative jobs, such as financial advisors, well, then maybe some financial advisors would want to go become econ teachers, and that would cause the supply of econ teachers to shift to the right. And then finally, the third determinant would be immigration, and this one's pretty straightforward. If you increase immigration, then there's going to be more workers coming into the country, and that will cause the curve to shift to the right. And if you get a decrease in immigration, that is to say people leaving the country or fewer people coming into the country, then that would shift the supply of whatever that labor is to the left. Okay, so these are the three determinants of supply. And now we've talked about on previous videos the determinants of demand. We now have the determinants on the supply side. And on some future videos, we're going to put together the supply and demand curves and start working through the supply and demand model. All right. This has been Mr. Hagan on another podcast. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you on the next podcast.